Well, we all got to come together. Understand. This not just the players, man. It take coaches and players. The players we locked in last week. We felt like we was locked in, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But it takes players and coaches. It's not just the players. So it'll take a full group effort for everybody to get this bad taste out of our mouth, get on the right track. It's a full team effort, coaches, players included, not just on the players. It's on everybody in this organization. We got to do this thing together. And if that's not the mindset, then we might as well hang it up. You can't point fingers at, okay, this is it. Man, this shit, and we in this thing together, man. We in this thing together, coaches and players. So everybody got to look themselves in the mirror. Everybody got to look themselves in the mirror, man, and come ready to work on Wednesday. I don't like losing. I've never been a loser. So it's hard losing 3 games in a row, but the competitor and the winner in me, I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm gonna keep coming to work, keep watching my film, keep staying on the guys, keep staying on myself. I'm gonna do what a pro does, and try to keep this thing rolling, try to find a win.
What's good, people? I started to make this video last night, and to be quite honest with you, I knew if I did make this video last night that I would have woke half the neighborhood up, and possibly maybe got the cops called on me. The little town I live in, everybody rolls the town up after a certain time of night. I'm going to tell you, 5 years of frustration really started to boil up last night. I don't even know what to think about where our team is at this point. I mean, it honestly is starting to get a feeling of like, does it matter with the current way things are? A few years back, I told people, and I think it was like 2014, towards the mid to end of 2014, I told people, what if Jay Gruden is not that guy? I know everybody wants Snyder to keep his hands off of the team and not fire another coach, to let it play out. But what if we're letting it play out to the wrong coach? I said that, and I was met with a lot of negative response at the time. Now, don't get me wrong. The usual candidates, as far as Redskins fans are concerned, came out and said, yeah, fire him. The ones that saw things for what they were, and then, of course, the ones that are always negative, that always want us to fire everybody. They all agreed with me. But everybody else kind of was like, oh, let's give him some chances. He's only been here a year. He was dealt some issues. Shanahan screwed us over, blah, blah, blah. So we kept him. I said then, man, we went into that Code Red game in 2014, and I said, we got this young guy in the organization right now who's got the football IQ and the bloodline to boot, to match it. We should think about elevating from within. And I was talking about Sean McVay. Now, the whole world didn't know who McVay was until the end of 2015, once our offense started excelling. He was nothing but a tight end coach at the time when I said it. But people, a lot of the beat writers were talking about it at the time. McVay has been this bright, shining, light in the Redskins organization since he got there. Chris Cooley talked about him like he was the best thing since sliced bread. And anybody that pays attention to Cooley knows Cooley, he's kind of stuck up. He doesn't just like anything. But anyway, getting to this game, I was in the game almost all the way up to it. I saw when Colt got hurt, I was just like completely, my brain started just kind of like bending sideways because I knew that Mark Sanchez was getting ready to come in. I realized that we're just killed with injuries right now. That's not Gruden's fault. That, my friends, that is on the strength and conditioning coaches and that particular aspect of the team. They all have their own little sections. You walk into Redskins Park, one side of the building is the upper side that does all the paperwork, and the other side is the player side. On that player side, they break them down into micro sections. Strength and conditioning is on their own. All those guys, as much as they maybe have done a great job over the years that they've been there, or whatever, the year that they've been there too, maybe, those guys need to be looking for new jobs. Over the last 3 seasons, I have never, ever, especially the last 2, focusing on the last 2, I have never seen injuries like we have on our team. Never. I don't know what's going on. It's like, as soon as we have the worst injuries we could possibly have, we say, oh, you know what? Let's have twice as bad. Obviously, we're not saying it. Well, it just happens. You know, we lose both of our starting guards. Last night, we lose both of their replacements. Now, I think Bergstrom came back in the game, but Cooper's gone for the year. His shoulder, he's gone for the year. IR, along with Colt McCoy. Both of our quarterbacks with snapped legs. Now, to me, that sounds like bad luck right there, that particular last one. But you have 2 quarterbacks on the roster, 2 that know the system. Now we have Sanchez, who has been on the team for 2 weeks. And we're getting ready to hire another guy off the street. So we'll have like exactly 2.5 weeks worth of experience in our system. And then I look at the snap count from yesterday, and I see that Chris Thompson was our featured back last night. What in the entire fuck is that? The guy misses 6 games, and then we use him as our feature back? But this guy over here just got a 90-yard run, and we're not even trying? And we were in this game until the very end of it, or not the very end of it, but towards the end of it. I ain't gonna lie to you. After a certain part of this game, man, my brain was just sitting there just like on zonk mode. I was seeing in double. What could really be said? I mean, you look at the injury situation. We lost our top speed guy wide receiver this year. Darius Geist to ACL. Thompson and Crowder been out most of the year. Both quarterbacks to broken legs. Both guards, and now both replacements, even though I think Bergstrom is going to end up being questionable for next week's game. Not to mention Trent. You know, Trent has been missing time. Not to mention Morgan Moses has been hurt pretty much the whole year and playing through it. I don't know about Roudier, but I don't think he has any injuries. Maybe he's the healthiest lineman we've got. It's gotten to a point where it's just more than ridiculous. We're at the point of just insane. It's obscene. And you know, the defense has regressed under Greg Minuski. I don't really understand how that could happen from the beginning of the year to now. How could you go from being where you were at the beginning of the year to now? What, 1 or 2 players have gone down on the defense? I realize we've lost a few players, backups. Dunbar, you know, hey, Dunny's been missing games. I get that. But where are we at with this? I mean, you see Swearinger making his comments. You know, I believe his comments are directed at Minuski. A lot of people are like, is he talking about Gruden? I think that Gruden told him pretty much in a roundabout way to shut up. He's done that publicly. And Swearinger came out again after the game yesterday and said something. That tells me Gruden's losing the locker room. Okay? Now, I don't know how this goes forward, but I can tell you, looking at my coaches right now, I hope they hang on to Jim Tomsula because he's done his job with the defensive line. And I hope, you know, we hold on to Bill Callahan because he's done his job with the offensive line. But I can tell you, the issues with the Redskins start at the top. The man who's spinning this web sits in an office. He's what I call the Teflon Don GM. Mr. Bruce Allen. Yeah, see, he's pretty much the politician, you know, corporate Redskin guy at this point. He makes all the calls. But the odd thing is that the Redskins are now 58, 84, and 1 in the 9+ seasons with him running the team. This is the guy that effectively is to blame for the Scott McCloughan saga, the start to ending, what happened there. I don't have to reiterate that. Most everybody knows. Gruden is actually his third coach. He inherited Jim Zorn, but he fully hired Mike Shanahan and is responsible for a lot of what went down there. The quarterback turmoil under him has included trading for Donovan McNabb, giving the man an extension, and then trading him for the end of the year. Trading him the next year. Not to mention trading up for RG3, and then the fall of RG3, the cutting of RG3, the fiasco of Cousins, and then the Smith trade, and giving him all the money after the trade to that extension that now could be looked at with a question mark because he's hurt and we're locked in until 2020. You look at all that, it's just crazy that this guy has still got a job. Can you guys believe that this man still has a job? It's unreal. See, for any real change to happen in the Redskins to get above being a 6-10 to 7-9, 8-8 team, best at 9-7, anything for that to change, they need to fire Bruce Allen. They need to promote Kyle Smith. And you guys remember A.J. Smith used to be the GM back in the day for the Chargers during the LaDainian Tomlinson days when they had Drew Brees and all them, and then Phillip Rivers and all them. Yeah, well, his son, okay, they need to promote him to GM. He, a complete talent in our front office that's going, it's being used, but it's going to waste. He needs to be the GM. He needs to be the corporate sling. He needs to be the guy in charge. But if the team does not do that, we cannot move forward as a organization, and we're going to stay stuck in the mud no better than 9-7, 8-8. I realize the East is tough. I realize injuries have been just messing us all up, but they need to promote Kyle Smith. Let Kyle Smith decide who he wants to hire as his coach. If he wants to keep Gruden, then you know what? I'm going to have to swallow my pride for another year or two and figure it all out. In my opinion, I'm starting to wonder if Gruden should even be there anymore. If he's lost the locker room, there's no reason for him to still be there. I've questioned his leadership ability for a few years now. We all know what'll happen. He'll go work for Chucky. His brother's just over there with an open offensive coordinator spot already, so he'll give it to Chucky. He'll walk over and go with Chucky, you know. But Smith should be elevated to GM. Let him hire his own coach, and let him and the coach decide which quarterback they want to draft. There's going to be some QBs coming out next year. The crop doesn't look that great, so I don't want them to just reach for somebody to get somebody, but they can start looking and then reboot this whole thing. We got some good talent on the roster. We had a pretty good locker room before all this fiasco the last 3 weeks and the injuries started to happen again. It's time to reboot certain things and certain ideals. You know, and it took me a while to get here. And we still have 4 games left. Hell, we could finish 10-6. I don't see it happening with a quarterback that's only been there 2 weeks. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say it couldn't, because anything could possibly happen. But we're staring 6-10 at the face. 7-9. 8-8. You know? And who knows? 8-8 might win the division. But we won't go nowhere. You know, it's just an inevitable fact. When Colt McCoy went down last night, the Redskins season ended. Now, I know that somebody's going to try to say that I don't have the faith. Let me tell you something, buddy. Mr. whatever, whoever might think about saying it. I've been a Redskin fan longer than a lot of the people that are going to be listening to this have been alive. So I don't want to hear it. I've stuck with this team through a lot of shit. Here on YouTube, I made videos where I talked trash for the longest time. And I used to have to eat crow when we lost. And I'd end up being the one of maybe just a small handful of Redskin fans that came up on here and ate crow every week, even if we didn't make a video before the game talking trash. We crow up and tell the fans, congratulations. We had to deal with all these other fans talking all this trash to us. Man, I can't even begin to tell you over the years how much shit I've had to hear about being a Redskin fan. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. If you were born after 1992, man, I applaud you for still being a Redskin fan with all the shit that this team's been through since then. I can't even believe what people that age have had to endure. I applaud you if you're still a Redskin fan and you were born after the year 1992. I applaud you. I know I have had to endure a lot. So anybody out there can just miss me with the you're not a real Redskin fan with what you're saying, because that shit right there don't fly. But, it's not that hard to figure out what's got to happen here. Now, if they don't fire Bruce Allen, I got a feeling we'll have Gruden back next year again. They at least need to get rid of the strength and conditioning setup. It needs to change, man. This is too much. It's obvious something's wrong. 3 straight years with nothing but injuries and 2 solid seasons with putting all these star players on IR is ridiculous. Fix it. The start of this year, I started seeing FedEx was just empty. Now, it didn't look that bad after the Texans game. It looked like they were doing better. Actually, the stadium was still empty, by the way. But the fans showed out. The fans were into it. Man, since that game, the whole team has just fallen way off. I don't even know what they got to do to get back to it. Now, I see a lot of the fan base imploding, man. Hey, we're all Redskin fans, so y'all need to chill. All of us are going to have different opinions. It's just the way it is. Man, it doesn't change our love for the team. I do see some people, quitting the team. And hey, I'm just going to let everybody know this too, man. If you quit the team, that's on you. That's on you. But you know what? When we do start doing better, or we do get our shit together, don't come crawling back. Oh no, don't come crawling back. Stay wherever you were at for that moment. Wherever you run right now, stay where you're at. Don't come back. I don't ever want to see you back as fans. And I got that right to say that. That's all I got, man. I'll be back to talk more when I see this game film. That trash I watched last night. I'll be back whenever the coach's film comes out. I'll be back to talk more about this game. I got a feeling I'm not going to be too happy with what I see. Hail to the Redskins.